Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, Radek, for the introduction. Thank you all for appearing in this very high number in a time where present events still are very exceptional. Very glad that this is one of the first in-present events since 2 years where I can participate. And more glad that it is this event which has such a long history and a great organizational team. Thank you to the backside, to the left and to the right side of this room for making my presentation accessible to you. And of course, I will try to do also my best to be the most accessible and understandable for you. About me, I think there is not so much to add to what Radek mentioned already. I'm Christoph Damm, worked for quite a long time at Maastricht University. A few years back then I decided to moved to Italy, where I started to use the knowledge which I gained in accessibility and developed several applications in order to make the life of persons with disability easier and helping those which want to pay attention for accessibility, conference organizers, content providers, helping them to do the right thing easier, cheaper, and quicker. This is the reason why I was starting with the development of ADauthor, which is one application of a suite consisting of 4 applications, divided in creating audio descriptions, providing audio descriptions in live events such as theater plays, cinema presentations, and so on. Consuming audio descriptions, meaning to receive them within events, within sports activities, movies. And the 4th one, which was an application, and I'm glad that it is also used here from time to time, to bring audio descriptions very easily from one central point to the users using their mobile data. About the presentations today, I structured it in 4 parts. The first one, we will shortly talk about what actually is audio description. We are talking about where we can find audio description, where's the basic demographic in it. Then the 3rd one, what's the traditional way of creating audio description, how we can do audio descriptions nowadays. And the 4th one, the key part of this presentation, how to use the software ADauthor to do it in maybe a quicker way, maybe in a more economical way. Audio description, what is it? First of all, audio description is something what you need to consider based on the content what you provide. Audio description provides additional information for those which do not receive information by visual perception, and dependent on the type of the content, dependent on the target group of your content, you need to decide which type of content is necessary to be translated from the visual into the audio channel. This makes it a bit subjective, and this makes it a bit dependent. So you can't just create audio descriptions for cartoons for children and automatically do the same principles for creating educational content for university students. It doesn't work to create audio descriptions for movies in cinemas in the same way like you would do documentaries for experts, for professors, for lectures. It doesn't work to create audio descriptions in an international environment in the same way. So you can't just create audio descriptions in English translated by a language translator and expect that it works in the same way in Czech Republic. You need to respect the cultural history. You need to respect the general use of audio descriptions in the country. And then you can provide the best content. At this moment, the traditional linear TV is something what I would say is less and less used. We are going to the idea that video on demand streaming services like Netflix, like Amazon Prime, Disney Plus are more and more used, especially for the youth. When I'm talking about my children, for example, they are growing up in a time when they are not watching on Sunday the TV program, which cartoon is coming, and they are watching one episode and then it is changing. My children are growing up with which cartoon do they want to watch now, and then they are watching 5, 6, 7 episodes till they are tired about it. So we have this very big three players like Netflix, like Amazon, like Disney Plus. And of course for them accessibility is something what is a key. Not only because they want to do the right thing, but also they are big American companies. They have to apply certain requirements, especially described in the American Disability Act. And therefore, they are providing audio description in a way to follow the guidelines of this American Disability Act. So first of all, as it is mostly American companies, American content, most of the audio description, what you can find on all of the big players, is in English, is available in English, and is created for the English market. There are slight differences between the UK and the US. Some of the big platforms like Netflix, for example, meanwhile have own studios to create own audio descriptions. Other content providers such as Amazon Prime, for example, they are trying to use external sources to create audio descriptions using then professional speakers or even speech synthesis. Amazon Prime, for example, is going much more in this direction. And they have the limitation that they are not usually going to the international market with this. They are not going to translate it. They are not going to dub movies into multiple languages and adding then the additional audio track with the audio description. So, for example, on Netflix you have some content which is in Spanish because they are Spanish productions. You can find audio description in Spanish. You have the US, which are creating US audio descriptions. Some productions which are German, which have the German audio description, and each of them with a slight different philosophy behind. I have listed the differences on providing audio descriptions between the key streamers, but I think due to the time I will just skip it. If you're interested in the differences, how Amazon, how Netflix, Disney Plus, how they are providing it, I can refer you to the presentation, which I'm gladly sharing with you later on. What we can take out of it is that there is a huge market with audio description, but there is in the same time a huge user group which doesn't have access to the audio description for the reasons of what I mentioned before. There are audio descriptions provided in one language, not translated, so you're cutting out quite a big part of your audience, and you cannot simply just translate audio descriptions. Therefore, you would basically, for each movie, you would start the entire process from the beginning, which introduces quite a high amount of cost. Okay, I have here one example of an audio description, which was done in cooperation with the opera in Macerata. They were working together with very young school kids. They were preparing some accessibility for one of their classmates. It was a project in a school, and the original idea was to speak with the class, to sensibilize the class about the need of this one student in their class. Then the kids should, together with an expert, create some description of an opera, and then the idea was that some professional speaker starts to record the descriptions based on the ideas of the kids. The project was slightly changed because the kids had so much fun on creating descriptions for their classmates that we decided to just record the children themselves. So it's not the highest quality of the recording, but it is a very nice experience to see children enthusiastic to create accessibility and being sensibilized in this case. I understand it is Italian, so there might be not so much what you can get out from the content, but I wanted to show you just as an example how it can work, accessibility in such a young age.
Benvenuti, questa è l'audiodescrizione dell'Elisir d'Amore, una fabbrica di idee. È uno spettacolo tutto per noi bambini e ragazzi, ispirato all'opera L'Elisir d'Amore di Gaetano Donizetti. In questo spettacolo Adina, Memorino, Belcore e Dulcamara vivono una storia un po' diversa.
La nostra storia si svolge negli anni 30 del secolo scorso, nella fabbrica Elisir con colori tristi. All'interno troviamo un lungo nastro trasportatore che cammina da sinistra a destra.
Tutti i personaggi hanno a che fare con il tema del lavoro. Arina, figlia del proprietario della fabbrica, è una ragazza molto bella ed elegante.
I'm skipping it here because, again, due to the language, it is not so fruitful. But what happened was that each kid basically participated in making an event, a class trip, basically. It was where they went into the opera, where they watched the performance. Not only got they trained and sensibilized in how to deal with the classmate who can't see, but they discovered that it makes actually fun to watch, to observe, to figure out what could be necessary for my classmate to know, in which form should I say it. So they were recording dialogues and dialogues and dialogues, and then later on were discovering which part was useful, which part we should leave out, where we should maybe add some additional information. And in a very playful way, they learned a very intuitive to create audio descriptions. And I actually know by experience that after this project was finished, some of them even tried to do for some cartoons. They wanted to do it at home just for fun, to do some cartoons with the description. Okay, let's speak shortly about the traditional audio description creation. Those of you who tried to do something with audio description know that the process is relatively long. You start with finding the right content. You need to speak about the content right owner if you are allowed to do something like this. Very similar like with the closed captions. If you want to present it, you need to have permissions for doing that. After that, let's say you have your own content, you have all the rights what you need to find your expert in creating audio description. You need an expert in making recordings. You need an expert in video editing. If you have all of these three persons, you can start. So you have a long process of the expert who needs to have access to the content. He will observe it, he will create descriptions, he will create an Excel file, a Word file, whatsoever, with the textual information, where should be descriptions, which text should be there. And after that, you take this information, you send it to the recording. There will be a professional person who will make the recordings. The output of that you will send to your video editor, who will create the video editing. Then you're going the testing phase, so where everything what you just created till now is going to be reviewed. The descriptions, do they actually fit from the length? Do they fit from the content? Is something missing? Is something too much? And you repeat this circle like 3-4 times till you have a product which you're very satisfied with. Of course, you can shorten it if the content is something what you need quickly. If it is a small one, you don't have 3 circles, but maybe 1 or 2. Yet for high production value movie, for example, you do sometimes 10, 15, even 20 rounds of this way of creating audio description. And this adds the sum of the costs for such a video dramatically. As we said, we need 3 professionals. They want to be paid like professionals. They are spending hours and hours on the creation. Of course, you need to pay for hours and hours. And then at the end, you're going to the users, and the users give you a feedback which might be even completely in contrast to what the expert thinks he needs to prepare. So this is the traditional way. With the traditional ways, you have a lot of costs connected. And now is the question, how can we speed up, how we can shrink the costs, how we can make the process very fast, so that we can, even for content which is short, educational videos which we need the next week in our class, short clips which we just produced and next week we want to present it, how we can create audio description and add accessibility. And this was the key point for me when I decided we need a software for this. As we have already software for creating closed captions, we need in the same way a software to create audio descriptions, where the professional immediately has feedback. Does it fit from the length? Do I need to shorten it? Where the expert has information about how it fits in the mood of the movie. Should I adapt my voice? Should I adapt the words which I'm using? Or should I be more rough? Should I be more sensitive? Should I put more emotions in my description in order to fit the content, not to pull out the audience from their experience, what they have, but to participate in a certain mood of the movie. Example, if we make an audio description of a romance movie and the couple finally gets closer, then we should not, with a very robotic and very rude voice, we should just interrupt them, but we should stay in the mood. We should keep it romantic. Still providing the same information, but being a part of the movie, not being an obstacle, not being something extra. And as I said, this was the idea behind ADauthor, to help experts, to help content providers to create audio descriptions in a way to give them the possibility to cross-check themselves without having all the tail of recording and producing and then exchanging videos, but just to write on the hand to give them the possibility to do so. I have prepared 3 small video clips. I understand that they are very small. I apologize for this. I will try to describe, adding some audio description for my videos. If you are interested, I'm sure that Radek will share with you the presentation so that you can see better the videos themselves as well. I would like to show you a bit how ADauthor works. As I said, it is an application. You download it on your computer. You insert your video content which you want to add audio description for. And how we are doing that, I will show you just in this short video clip. So this is the main interface of ADauthor. By adding a new project, we can just type a name of the project. This is up to you. It is really just something very quickly to identify the movie. You choose your digital video file. And once you have chosen, you give it a second in order to be analyze the video. We're checking here the frame rates, the resolution, and so on. After that, you can make some settings which are purely for default, like giving it information of the language of the video. This is mainly interesting only for you as a kind of reminder. If you want to create one video in English and then check, then you just give it this parameter and you can better identify it. You give information about what is your default synthesizer you want to use. I will come back to this a bit later. Also, this means not that you have to stuck with it. It is just a pure, let's say, default setting. So this one will be always set as a first. And after that, you choose a project folder where you want to save all of this project information, and you click on Save. You wait a moment till the video is processed. And after that, you can start with creating audio description. This, let's say, creating of the project files takes a bit. It depends a bit on the resolution of your video, it depends on the size, the length of the video, the codec which is used, and of course the computer which you're using. After you created this project, you're entering this interface on which you can start. You have a small preview window in which you will see your content. You have on the right side a list of all of the descriptions which you have in your project. You have a timeline on the bottom and some interfaces like volume controls where you can change the volumes of the description as well as the volume of the video content itself. So how do we create descriptions? It's a very simple. You go in your video, you just start your video, you watch it, analyze it, being an expert. And once you discover the position where you want to add a description, you just move the timeline back to this position, either by drag and drop, or then later by inserting the exact timing. Verify. And then on the right side you have a small plus icon, which allows you to add a description. And to add a description you have three possibilities. The before mentioned synthesizer, so you can use, simply you type a text and you use a synthesizer installed on your computer to produce the text into an audio. You can record your own microphone, so you just speak in the application, you record yourself, and it is added and used as a description. Or you use a professional recorded...
A pretty bird watches in the mirror.
Sorry. Or you use a pre-recorded description which is done by a professional if you want to do so. As soon as you have saved the description, it is automatically generated. If you have opted for using the synthesizer, it's creating an audio file, and the audio file is saved. The information of where it should be positioned is saved, and you can play back your content and you can see how it is fitting exactly in your movie. So you can see, does it fit from
A pretty bird watches in the mirror. She opened her mouth and a terrible scream came out.
As you can see, I'm very bad with timing. What the video showed is how to create the second audio description already. It's basically just repeating the process, the first process. You find the right position, where do you want to add audio description, you type in the text, you generate the audio file, and you can play it back. On the right side, you can navigate between the audio descriptions. You can jump either to your first, second one. You can modify it. You can re-record if you want. You can change the text, generate a new synthesis, and can just check it right away. So from the moment of creating audio description till the moment when you can preview and review your own work, it's a matter of seconds. You do not need to follow the entire tail anymore. Of course, reviewing and previewing of our work is not the end goal. This is not what we want to do. What we want to do is to offer a final product to a user. So a movie file, a movie which we want to provide to our students or to our clients, which on one side has the traditional audio, the regular content of my movie, plus for those which need it, the audio description. And here we can choose, do we want to provide it like for everyone the same file, so everyone needs to listen the audio description, or do we want to provide it in a way that users can switch between following the movie without or following the movie edit audio description. And in ADauthor you have the possibility to export it. So from your project you have the possibility to generate different video files. You can generate a video file which has the audio description included. You can generate a file which has 2 audio channels. You can swap between them. You can generate just an MP3 file which includes only the audio descriptions on the right timing. So in case you want to make a cinema presentation, you can use the standard cinema digital rolls, and you can just distribute a sound file via these transmitters, for example, like here, or via the Speaky app, which is a part of the AD suite. So it gives you the possibilities to do what you need to do and what you want to do in a way that the entire work process is on your computer. Let's just watch this video. But basically it's summarizing what I told you. You have the 3 options of which video you want to export. You can export the audio file only, and you also have the possibility to export a script file. A script file basically just uses the text which you typed, provides you a Word document with proper information, like when should it be this text spoken, how long it should be, and giving you some additional information like how you as an author would like to have it spoken, like fast, short, with emphasis, with a certain pronunciation. And then the script file you just send to your recording company, and they are making the professional recordings. Then you jump back to the ADauthor. You can use this produced descriptions to create your content. You can export then the videos with a quality of descriptions as you please, as it is fitting to your content. Here we have an example of an exported file.
A pretty bird watches in the mirror. She opened her mouth and a terrible scream came out.
Let's interrupt this. Of course, this was an example of using a synthesis, because first of all, my voice to record is not that pretty, and I didn't want this morning to contact a professional recorder, so I used the synthesis. But to create this example took me 2 minutes, and if I would have followed the entire path, probably I would have needed 2 days till I had it in the way as I want. And now comparing this to work processes, we can see how significantly we can reduce the costs, the required time, and how much easier it is to create a video with accessibility compared to the traditional time, to the traditional way. Because it can be done not only by professionals, but it can be provided to teachers, it can be provided to content creators who are creating YouTube videos or TikTok or whatsoever. And there is no special information required aside of how the audio description should be generated. This one still is a profession, and professional people should do that. But the method of how we are creating a content with audio description, this is significantly eased and given in the hands of the content providers. Yeah, this was a very short introduction into the application ADauthor. Thank you very much. And if you want to have something more compressed, some more information, I have some small flyers here on the first desk. Unfortunately, they are just in English, but the information on the website and on the flyers might be of use for you. And if it is just for the contact details which are there, so if you have a question, please do not hesitate to ask now, or later on drop me an email, even in Czech, and you will receive the answer directly. Thank you. And
tak já moc děkuji Chrisovi a byť trošku máme skluz, tak zkusme jednu otázku z publika, pokud nějaká je. Není tomu tak, takže ještě jednou děkuji Chrisovi a poprosil bych